So, quick overview of Zomato. In 2005, Deepinder Goyal started a venture named Foodlet, which was supposed to deliver food online. So, if you look at it, Deepinder Goyal from 2005 itself had the idea of doing something in the food business, wanted to deliver food to people's homes, and he wanted to play in this field, right? But because he could not get enough demand from users, he shut the venture down after a year. Uh, but he was very clear that he wanted to somehow improve how Indian consumers discovered and consumed food. Right. In 2007, Deepinder Goyal and Pankaj Chadha were working at Bain when they realized that going through physical menus was not a great experience. I'm sure all of us remember back in the day in the newspapers, we would get tons of menus as a part of it. We would stock it up in some drawer in our house and say the day we want to order, dekhte hain kahan se mangwana hai. So that experience wasn't great, like we all know. But these guys decided to do something about it. So in 2008, they partnered up to start a company called Foodie Bay, which is supposed to be a restaurant discovery and rating platform. They were very clear that we will put all the menus online, let people figure out which restaurant they want to eat in, where they want to eat, and to educate users of their consumers. They will have a rating platform. They'll also give ratings to restaurants, and people like us can also leave reviews, right? This was also the idea of to help us discover the right restaurant or the best restaurant close to us as well. In 2008 when they started and also when they started, right, smartphones was not even known to us. I think the smartphone revolution came in 2011 12 to India. We didn't know what an app was, we had nothing. So they built this product purely thinking about a website based application. They got their first round of funding in from InfoEdge, which is for 4.7 crores in August of 2010. In the first year itself, they added 1,400 restaurants in the Delhi NCR region. And the best part of Zomato was they spent no money on marketing or publicity. Everything was word of mouth. People like us who used it told our friends about it. They told other people about it. People started leaving reviews. And also, if you understand how Google works, the more content the website has, the higher ranking, right? So every time somebody searched for something on Google, Zomato would automatically come up as a top ranked website. In less than 2 years, the platform had 2 million customers using it, and 8,000 restaurants were already present. And they had a look. They have so 8,000 restaurants were listed on the website, and they were present in 5 cities. In 2010, Zomato realized, sorry, Foodie Bay that time realized that Foodie Bay is a word is very limiting to their brand, right? Because they could be doing a lot more than just giving ratings and reviews. Also, eBay is entering India, and they don't want to get sued by India. So, Sanjeev Bikhchandani of Naukri spoke to the team and said, you should look at rebranding it today before you spend a lot more money on marketing and making it popular as a brand. So that's when they came up with the name Zomato for themselves. This is a quick overview of funding from the day Zomato started. That's in 2000. From 2008 till they went public. So just before they went public till February 21, they raised a total funding of $850 million. This funding was raised over multiple rounds, led by renowned venture capitalists like InfoEdge, Sequoia, Temasek, and Group, which is Alibaba, in Alibaba's subsidiary company, have all invested in Zomato. And the surprising part is you can see over here, Delivery Hero, which is one of the competitors in Europe, has also invested in them. So it's good to see that happening. So now I just quickly cover Zomato's branding and marketing. I know Aditya here is a very big fan of Zomato's marketing and branding strategies, and he loves the person who's handling it for them. And I think you know him also, right, Adi?
Yeah, Akshar Pathak,
Yeah.
brilliant guy.
So Zomato's marketing strategy is every brand's dream, right? Every startup wants to be like Zomato when it comes to their branding and strategy. The team is very innovative, agile, they're creative, and have lots of sarcasm in what they do, right? And the best part, what I like about Zomato, is they're able to pick up the talk of the town and convert that into an ad or a meme or anything they want to do. So I'll show you some examples later on in the slides. So let's look at how Zomato achieves what they achieve, right? When it comes to SEO, most of the traffic comes from searches and direct, being 66.41% and 31.36% respectively. So 99% of Zomato's traffic is from organic sources, and the remaining 0.6% comes from paid marketing and other campaigns. Uh, Aditya here is an expert. He'll tell you the importance of SEO and how important it is to keep writing articles and keep doing more work on your website to build more traffic, because that's how Google functions. Keyword targeting. Zomato targets more than 900 keywords when it comes to targeting searches, and they're constantly optimizing and improving on their keywords and the ads they put out. They're also the keyword targeting also improves your SEO indirectly. There are more than 6,500 restaurants on Zomato, and they say Zomato. So imagine the amount of data and information they have. So that's why when people are searching for Zomato or anything on Google, Zomato comes up as a top ranked website. So this is what I was talking about Zomato's branding. When I said the team is witty, they're able to pick up the nation's sentiments and do things about it, right? So at that point of time, Arnab Goswami's Nation wanted to know, or the Nation wants to know, was a big talk of the town. Everybody was making fun of it. So they put an ad saying Nation wanted to know, "Ladka nikal gaya kya?" And then when Modi was campaigning, "Achhe din aayenge," so that became a slogan, and they used that as their ad for their out-of-home ads. So you see how Zomato is able to use what people are talking about and make it fun and witty, and this also helps consumers like us connect with the brand better. This is something they do on Twitter a lot, where they have a lot of friendly banter going on with other brands. So the first one is example of Exigo, which says, "Guys, kabhi kabhi ghar par bhi baithna chahiye." Exigo is a travel company. Zomato replies, "Guys, kabhi kabhi ghar ka khana bhi kha lena chahiye." So it's so much fun, so much humor involved, um, and it's really cool, right? So look at MobiKwik one also. "Guys, kabhi kabhi queue mein lag ke electricity bill pay karna chahiye." Then Zomato replies, "Guys, kabhi kabhi ghar ka khana bhi kha lena chahiye" again. So they're always playing around with brands, having fun on Twitter, and they become the talk of the town. This is some of their posts on Instagram. When Friends launched their reunion, Zomato did this post called Fries at a restaurant. Then when the new iPhone came out, they made fun of that because everybody was making fun and saying there's no difference between the iPhone 12 or the 13. And then this is something they did on WhatsApp, where they put out these kind of memes themselves. Uh, so this guy writes, "Bro, HR just gave a company a shopping voucher, gave our company a shopping voucher worth rupees 500. What am I supposed to buy with that? A toy car? Actually, wo bhi nahi aayega." Then Zomato replies and says, "Haha, lucky we got Zomato coupons this year. Planning to order extra cheesy pizza for myself. So seem quite sad. I can order extra chocolate pastry for you too." Right? So so much fun, and I love how Zomato talks about things. And I don't know if you guys remember seeing the August 15th ad of what Zomato put out. They had this one thing on Instagram where they said, "August 15th, we stopped taking orders," right? And that was, I mean, I think that was really thoughtful, and a lot of thought went behind that ad, right? It's not easy to come up with that kind of uh, copyrights for any brand. And this is some of the other things. Quickly, I'm going to just wrap up with this. When Game of Thrones came out, they did Game of Cones. Then Zomato gave some stats and they said post demonetization order increased by 20% because everybody moved online and stopped spending cash, and cashless payments grew by 512%, right? And this is one of their other ones. And there are a lot of ones which Zomato came out, and I don't know if you remember, but Zomato got in trouble because a lot of these ads of theirs, like the one on the right, "I'm great in bed," was apparently shown on some porn websites. I think Zomato did it on purpose or unknowingly. I don't know, but still, again, right? So they're always out there. They're always creating controversies with what they do, but that's what calls brand, and that's why they're so good. Now I will give it to Saloni to talk about Zomato's growth and revenues.
Thank you, Sankalp, for taking us through the first part of how it all started and where has Zomato landed. And let me now talk a bit about the growth and the revenue story. So as we know, a couple of years, like 2008, they started. So in 3 years, Zomato had already established, its own monopoly. in multiple cities, 5 cities other than Delhi. And when they started, like we shared earlier, the smartphone boom had just come in, and it nicely, matched with Zomato's own mobile application, which was, greatly responsible for its growth. And in the very next year, Zomato began its international overseas operations, full-fledged in countries like the UAE, Sri Lanka, Qatar, UK, Philippines, and in South Africa. And then furthermore, every year they started to add more and more markets. So they added Turkey, Brazil, and New Zealand to its expansion list. In fact, if we can look at this figure of growing revenue by 81%, this was in the year 2017 when Zomato actually claimed that it was operating profitably in all of the 24 countries that it was rolling out its zero commission model, and actually claiming that its revenue grew by 81% in that particular year. And we all know how very recently Zomato has delivered its 1 billionth order, which is just a couple of months ago in July. So if we look at the financial year 2020, Zomato actually recorded a 225% rise in revenue in the very first half of financial year 2020. And I would say that, COVID either led, was, even though we know that, people were not ordering, but then when we look at, that's the second half, but the first half, we did have a lot of revenues, which has given this monumental rise to the growth story of Zomato. So next, please. Now we're going to just look at the acquisition and the product launch journey. So Zomato just went on a spree. If you look at the early years and right till this very year, as early as and as late as January 2021, Zomato has actually gone on a spree of acquisitions, all related to the food business and tech business or the technology, so that it's able to actually open up and bring more products. So you can see a comparison that which we did here, that as it went acquiring more and more companies, it also started to launch more and more products. Of course, started by rebranding and then moving into areas like Zomato Gold and most recently last year Zomato Pro, where it gave consumers the benefits of getting premium discounts and premium accesses. So when you look at all the acquisitions, so we know that many of these acquisitions have not really rendered. Probably they rendered at that point in time to the growth, contributed to the growth. But we now know that Zomato has actually been now closing shop in many other countries because they want to probably now consider congregating, or rather bringing together all of their forces together and stabilizing again for their next growth journey. When I talk of the products launched, so Zomato launched its restaurant reservation product app a couple of years ago. And of course, they started with food delivery, then they went on to Gold, and then they launched a B2B groceries platform, Hyperpure, which still remains there, though we're not very sure whether it's going to be there in the future or not, because we've heard certain news about Zomato, wrapping up the grocery business. So we're not very sure whether Hyperpure is going to be there in the future. But looking at all of this together, today when we look at where it is, it's mostly there in the food delivery business. The next slide will actually give us the 4 concrete verticals which Zomato is purely focused on, and this is where most of their business operations are and growth story is coming from. So can we have the next slide, Sankalp, that actually gives us the 4 areas of food delivery, dining out, of course, Zomato Pro, which is a step up from Zomato Gold, and Hyperpure. And it will be interesting to note, Kanchan here, that, farm to fork supplies offering for restaurants in India. So when I read this, I was thinking of you, because your spices and everything are coming from, your spice rack, and, Hyperpure is basically a kind of an inside tag, right? To tell people that, yes, when you see this Hyperpure inside, very much like Intel inside, it is to assure customers of the quality of ingredients. So this is the current focus for Zomato. And all of us have and continue to be, customers. Almost every other day, something gets ordered online. And the kids love, because of the not just the discounts that we get, not just the great options that we get. So I think Zomato has really, not just, talking about innovation and talking about the first mover advantage that we had for our debate this morning. It has, it knows where it's headed. And I think it's now wrapping up those areas where they feel that, they really are not, getting too much either, top line or bottom line results. And that's why we are looking at so many of the businesses, other businesses in other countries, actually markets being, withdrawing from those markets. So that's the current focus. And this is where the revenues for the last 5 years or 3 years rather. And as you can see that in the financial year ending 20, we had a 98%, Zomato had a 98% growth over financial year 19. But if you just compare the figures of 18 and 19, it jumped by 182% year-on-year growth, which was really fantastic. And now when we're looking at the annualized figure, there is, of course, a degrowth here. And I think partly some of it is also because of COVID, but we also know that, the first half, they really grew very well. So here is basically a snapshot of how, despite having so many multiple lines of businesses, the food delivery accounts for over 80% of the company's revenue. And over to Ritesh now.
Thank you, Saloni. IPO was the first new age technology company to launch an IPO. And the IPO came very recently in the month of July 2021. The size of the IPO was 9,375 crores with a primary issue of 9,000 crores. When I say primary issue, this was the money that actually went to the company, and 375 crores went to one of their investors, which is InfoEdge, which liquidated a part of their shareholding. The price band for the share price was for IPO was 72 to 76 rupees, though allotments were based only on 76 rupees per share. Next slide. This is the shareholding pattern of Zomato pre-IPO and post-IPO. There has been a slight change. If you notice here, InfoEdge was from 18.5% because they liquidated some of their investments, and as well because more shares were issued to the public, the share percentage came down to about 15.1%. Uber Eats, which they bought sometime in 2018, had a share of about 9.13% because Zomato was never a cash-rich company to lay out the entire cash. So it was a cash cum stock deal, wherein Uber got a stake of about 9.13% in Zomato, which had come down to 7.7% post the IPO, and various other similar companies whose shareholding did come down post IPO. 15.8% of the shareholding has gone to the public shareholders, individuals like us who have actually subscribed or who might have bought and who might not have got the shares, but who have bought post listing. Sankalp, next slide. So the IPO was a huge success. It was subscribed 38 times and the listing was about 66% on a premium as compared to what they were issued at. The issue price, like I mentioned, was 72 to 76. They were issued at 76 rupees. It listed at 115 rupees immediately when it opened on the browsers about 9 a.m. But at the same time, when the share price closed at the end of the day, it was about 125 rupees per share. And it reached a high of 138 rupees on the opening day itself. So that gives a huge blockbuster listing to Zomato. And because of this, there are many other new age tech companies that are actually looking to raise funds through IPO, some of them being Policybazaar, Nykaa, and many others who are into similar new age technology companies. And they're probably going to come up with IPOs probably by October or at the latest by November 2021. The initial investor in Zomato, that's InfoEdge, They got 1,000x return on their investment in 11 years. Where else can you see these kind of returns? I don't think so. Any of the companies would have invested in probably your own business or consultancy, you would have got these kind of returns in 11-year or 10-year period. At this stage, the 48th largest traded company by market cap in India and bigger than some of the marquee names like Tata Motors, BPCL, DLF, Coal India, SAIL, Hindalco. And if you look at it as a IT company itself, it's the 6th largest IT company in India at this stage, even though it's not making profits. The only ones that are bigger than Zomato is TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL, and Tech M. You name any other IT company at this stage, they are smaller than Zomato as per the market capitalization in India. So that's been the kind of success Zomato has enjoyed, and they have been able to give returns to their shareholders. And I'm sure they would have definitely given you, if you have ordered food on Zomato, amazing experience and amazing food. Sankalp, next slide. I think that should be pretty much it. This is comparing Zomato with the global peers who are into similar space of food delivery. If you check, Zomato is still a lot lesser as compared to the other companies based out of Europe or US or China. Their market cap is much, much lesser as compared to others. And they have a huge scope to grow in terms of revenue, change their balance sheet, change their profit loss from loss-making entity to a profit entity. They have a huge road ahead on this. India being one of the largest markets across the world, only because of the sheer size of population, the younger generation coming up, when I say younger, the people of age bracket between 15 and 45, that generation has a huge potential to be tapped into. And they have actually started reaching out to tier 2 and tier 3 cities very, very fast, where they got their major upside during the COVID times last year as well as this year. That's where they got their major portion of their revenue. We had assumed that it would be the tier 1 cities or maybe the tier 2, but majority of them came from tier 3, wherein they could penetrate much faster. People were willing to accept Zomato, and also because of movement of people who, because of work from home, they could move back from the cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and others to tier 3 or tier 4 cities, and they wanted similar experience there as well. They didn't want to compromise in their experience. So they started using Zomato over there, and then Zomato started picking up and it started listing many, many restaurants from those cities as well. And restaurants will always have an advantage if they have more marketing space without much of a cost. I know Zomato takes a commission of about 20-25%, but still restaurants are more than willing to list themselves on Zomato for the kind of reach Zomato has, which can never be achieved by any single or a group of restaurants, even if run by a marquee organization like Specialty Restaurants or the others. So Zomato has a lot more to go. And even if you compare with China and US, it's still at a very nascent stage. So that's where Zomato is currently. Sankalp, next slide, please. Post IPO, there have been a lot of changes. In fact, government regulations have changed, and other co-founders have actually exited Zomato to find better opportunities for themselves and for Zomato to grow much faster. So one of the key changes with the government is GST regulations have been put in place for food delivery apps when they should be charging 5%, which was not there. Zomato is still trying to seek a clarity on how to do it and what are the ways forward for it in terms of GST implication that will be effective beginning next year. One of the co-founders who was heading the startup, Mr. Gaurav Gupta, who joined them in 2016, if I'm not wrong, he was promoted to the co-founder level. He quit just this month after having a very brief stint with them. And Zomato has also removed the nutrition tab on their platform, which was there for them about this month itself. Zomato has shut down its grocery delivery service with immediate effect, but at the same time, they are very bullish on the grocery delivery services And that is why they have made an investment in, if I'm not wrong, Grofers, to start getting into that business or getting that market share as well, wherein they would not do it themselves, but they would start doing it through their investments in Grofers and other such companies. Sankalp, next slide. And I think you should never have a bad meal with Zomato. Thank you.